Welcome to the Forank Marketing podcast, where honest conversations, tested tactics, and no-nonsense marketing come together.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Forank Marketing podcast. My name is Ashbridge. I'm the co-founder of Forank and also the SEO specialist there. And as always, I'm joined with co-founder, co-host Leigh Buttrey, who manages the paid side of things, so the pay-per-click and the advertising on social media. In today's episode, we're talking all things topical authority, which is a term that I think I first wrote about in 2022 or 2023. And we're talking about whether it still matters today, how search engines and AI are now like using content, and maybe like how that's impacting brands and their desire to invest in content strategy. So we're going to explore whether topical authority still delivers any kind of gains and results in 2026, especially as clicks are down by about 60% now, thanks to these AI overviews, or whether it's an overused concept that doesn't really move the needle anymore. Before we get into the podcast, Leigh, I'm going to ask you how you're doing, but we've had a hectic week, but it's actually Wednesday. So we've had it feels like it's been like a week, but it's been like 3 days. 2 days.
Yeah, I know. Hi, everyone. It feels like, I feel like I come to Wednesday every month, every week, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's nearly Friday, and it's not. I just feel like it's just so busy at the moment. Just trying to get my head above water. I really thought I was off to a good start. Like, I thought January was going to be busy, which I was aware of. I was traveling, you were traveling. That was sort of a given, but February just seems to have, I don't know, it's just gone. It's the 11th already.
Yeah, I agree.
How are you?
Yeah, much the same. So January was crazy busy, but like it was nice in some ways because January is normally like the most hideous month, and our January absolutely flew, didn't it?
Yeah.
But then so then I was kind of looking forward to getting back into like a normal pace in Feb, and that hasn't happened in a good way. Like we've got 2 really exciting proposals out. We've got loads going on, but like the biggest challenge for us this month was Leigh and I have been using Google Drive for like 5 years. So not Google Workspace, Google Drive, which has worked for us. But we decided to migrate over to Google Workspace, which is just a bit more kind of better set up, like document sharing and stuff. And we've been muddling through for years, never really needed it. But that process was a nightmare. Like you don't just get to move your Google Drive to your Workspace, do you? It's a new thing.
A whole new entity. I was reading up about it because I was like, how can this be such a bad migration considering it's Google to Google? And then I didn't realize it's actually like a whole new setup. So that hasn't helped this week. I guess we felt the stress of that, trying to get organized, links that clients had previously. We've had to let them know, like, the Google Sheets or the docs that you use, like we've had to lock it down and be like, try and give them a new link. Like, so that it's going to be a painful February, I think, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that migration is going to be painful for months because like in 6 months, like a document we've not used for a while is going to resurface. We're at risk of editing documents on our Drive because they're in 2 places, Drive and Workspace. So if you're thinking about migrating to Google Workspace, do it now. Don't do it. Don't do it. Never.
I was reading this thing that people are like moving away from Google and like doing everything separate. Like, so we have like separate accounts for Zoom because on Google you only get like so much free space. We've got separate accounts for a lot of things like the AI tools, like for note taking, and it made sense to migrate to Google for a cost saving, but everything's in one place. But then I read an article that everyone's moving away from it, and I was like, great.
Where are they going?
I don't know. I think they're still using everything separately. I don't know. I think people get to this like, I don't want to put all their eggs in one basket kind of thing, but let's face it, Google's never going down.
Really? No. I mean, if Google goes down, we've got bigger problems than where our documents are. We've got a job.
Right. Okay, cool. This is actually exciting podcast. I'm pleased to. It's a bit more SEO led, and it leans in from our last podcast where we spoke about AEO, GEO, and SEO and what all of that means. And I think this kind of nicely leads onto it. So I hear all the time clients saying, do we still need to invest in content? Like, SEO is kind of dead, like people get answers instantly elsewhere. So what is the point of like doing content, especially as people realize like clicks are going down onto websites. But I did read a fact that says the data suggests that visibility still matters. Google continues to dominate how people find information, holding around 90.83% of global search market share. And when that's compared directly to ChatGPT, Google's share rises to 99.67, according to StatCounter Global. So I think there is still an argument to say this is still very much worth chasing, Topical Authority. But I guess it's like how we go about doing it now. So yeah, let's get into it. Zoe, does that stat, you already know these stats anyway. Like these are, I think this is actually from you. I think there's a misconception that like search is dead in that kind of aspect.
Yeah, massively. Everyone's still using Google. Sure, AI and AI overviews and stuff has a role now, but search is still massive. I don't think it's going to go anywhere for some time. In fact, I think if anything, the AI side of things is like bedding into the search landscape now. So like what we're seeing now is kind of plateauing a little bit. So rather than this AI search growing, it's actually plateauing in terms of like page visits. Like no doubt more people will use it in 2026, 2025, and that will continue to grow, but it's all just going to grow together, I think. It's just, I'm not really worried about it at all.
I read this thing on LinkedIn actually where someone changed, there's so many acronyms out there at the moment, but someone actually said they've changed, instead of saying search engine optimization, so SEO, they've called it search experience optimization, which I thought was a well-rounded acronym for everything.
Yeah, I'm like a bit on the fence about this. So like I do agree completely that like search everywhere is good. I like it. It's like is a sentiment. But I think my issue with it is there's no doubt that like search is growing. And I think if we're not careful, and I think this happens to SEO teams a lot, they get lumbered with everything. So like SEO used to be like keywords and content, and now it's like tech, page speeds, backlinks, PR. So SEO just like keeps sweeping up all these other marketing tactics. And now it's like the GEO side of things. And I think if we don't have like different names for it, one person in some companies gets lumbered with disgusting amounts of work. And I think SEO takes a brunt of a lot, to be honest, which is fine for consultants like us because we can like network and bring in experts and charge rates that afford other people to be involved. But it's not fair to put all of this on one person. So I like search experience optimization or search ever optimization, but I'm also quite a fan of splitting the roles and responsibilities a little bit.
Yeah. We don't want to digress too much off the topic actually, because we will get into it, but it is massively different. Like even technical SEO is a whole other job, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And we're fortunate to have Stuart, which is Zoe's husband, if you're just tuning in, who deals with all the technical SEO stuff. But like that in itself is a completely another job, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So Zoe, can you, for anyone who's new to listening and doesn't understand what Topical Authority is, can you just put it into a nutshell what it is and what it means?
Yeah, so I think this was a term that came about in like 2022, but I could be wrong. I think, or at least that's when it was first on my radar. So the idea of Topical Authority is basically covering a topic in full on your website. So going really deep on coverage, like covering like every type of question or query related to that topic. You might hear it talked about in relation to like pillar and cluster strategy. So where you have like a pillar page. So maybe your pillar page is like, I don't know, what is SEO? And then off that, you have all these different articles and pages about SEO. So you'd go into like technical SEO, GEO, off-page SEO, etc. Yeah, and kind of the idea was back when it kind of like originally became a term, or at least on my radar, was that you needed to have topical authority in order to rank. Like it wasn't enough to create a service page that says SEO services. You needed to cover other topics to prove your level of experience and expertise on that topic, and then that helped you rank, which to be fair, I think was true. I think topical authority helped a lot with like ranking and certainly with clicks. But obviously the challenge now is that we're not getting the clicks to the content that used to help drive loads of traffic because AI overviews.
So in essence, then you've got a service page that then you've got loads of other articles that link back in, so internal linking onto the website that then tells Google that you have the most authority to talk about this topic, right? which then naturally helps your service page rank.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are the misconceptions of topical authority?
I think the big current misconception is that like it's now pointless because we're not getting the clicks anymore. And like, this is quite a nuanced discussion in my opinion. I don't think topical authority is pointless at all. I think it's really important to cover a subject in full, especially like just take Google out of it for a minute. Your customers need to know they can trust you. Your customers have questions, or your prospective buyers have questions that need to answer. And you need to be there as a source. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, although some of the pieces that we might have created 4 or 5 years ago to support a service page, for example, like a what is, how to type article, even though these articles are no longer bringing in clicks, your association with these topics will potentially bring you into like an AI overview or an AI search, like as a citation. And you still need that. Like there's some stats I've been working with recently. I wish I had it to hand, I don't. But a large percentage of people are now starting their buyer journey on ChatGPT and AI. And the like SaaS, B2B SaaS, for example, is particularly impacted by this. Like more people by percentage are going to AI to research SaaS. So if you haven't got the content about the comparisons, or your pricing isn't on the website properly, or you're not covering what tool is best for whatever, or you're not known for being the best for a particular use case, you're not going to show up in that discovery phase. You're not going to make a prospect shortlist, and all your competitors will be there and you won't be because you haven't covered something fully enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there because I'm going to waffle loads more. So basically, it is still really important if you want to get an AI overviews and visibility and you want to make shortlists. Otherwise, you're out before the race has even begun.
It's funny actually because we've had this conversation quite recently where you mentioned comparison pages then, and I know I do this myself. Like if I'm comparing to, it's like I ask ChatGPT. Now, obviously, if the content is already out there and you when you don't have that content, someone else has done it, then your product technically is being referred to by someone else that's not you. That's correct, isn't it? Like the information's out there elsewhere.
Yeah, so you broke up a little bit there, but I think I got the gist of your question. Yeah, if you don't cover something, AI will go and get the information from somewhere, and like you are the most reliable source for information about your brand. So if you don't cover it and someone else does, and they cover it in a way that doesn't reflect your brand, like maybe they cover it negatively, maybe they miss the points, AI is going to pull that content. So you need to cover topics in order to have the content available that can even be paraphrased in the first place, because AI won't say like where it's got the content from sometimes, or it won't say, this is pulled from Reddit, could be unreliable or whatever. It will just deliver it like it's fact, even if it's wrong.
Yeah, that is really interesting. So I guess the biggest question I think people will have is we know that clicks are down, and like what happens? Are you seeing a trend? Are you seeing a trend where clicks are down that you're not then getting the conversions? Or are you seeing it opposite because people are coming in a different way? Like what does that look like at the moment?
So I think clicks are down massively. I think for the most part, I'm seeing like stats of about 60%. So 60% of searches don't end in a click. Some of those searches end in like a second search though, which might get a click. 60% of searches don't end in a click. So it's quite a lot. Clicks are down to like top of funnel content, and then middle to bottom is fine. Like for our clients, bottom funnel is fine. Like clicks haven't really moved that much. So clicks to your service pages, like people still need to make the click to make the purchase. Don't notice that final click is still there. We're not seeing massive drops we're not seeing any drops actually with service type pages. It's just the articles. But I think the thing with topical authority as well, going back like 4 or 5 years ago, people kind of I feel like every SEO kind of mirrored this like HubSpot strategy, which is a massive SaaS company with loads of resource, loads of budget, who could afford to create loads of content. I think other well-intentioned, probably SEOs at the time, were just recommending that people churn out all this content just for the sake of churn out content. And I actually wrote LinkedIn posts about this back when this was happening, about how I disagreed with it. And I think that's the problem, and that's why Topical Authority has perhaps got this kind of like bad name, because it was a bit misused or kind of like misprescribed, like incorrectly executed. Whereas now you can still cover a topic, but as we've always done, built around bottom funnel goals and sensible content that makes sense.
Yeah, I think as well, I'm seeing with those dropping clicks, because you see it with ads as well. Like, I think there was a strategy that we used to do with ads, which was like push people to like top of funnel content to try and get ahead of the SERPs. And then what you would do with that is then you do retargeting, which is kind of not really a tactic that I use anymore, just because you've now got AI overviews and you're finding people are searching elsewhere for it. So it's not kind of a tactic. But one of the things that I do see is clicks are down, even in ads. And I don't know if there's a mixture of Google maybe being a bit more savvy and getting rid of click bots, or if it is that sort of trend that we're seeing. But I haven't necessarily seen conversions drop. If anything, I've probably seen conversions quality be better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of feeling. We're getting less traffic to the site, but the quality of leads is probably there, if not better. That's what I'm finding at the moment with ads.
Yeah, definitely. Same with AI and SEO.
And I think one of the things, just touching base, which SEO really helps with ads, is if you are I'm going to talk about Google search now in particular, but this probably relates to Meta as well, is that like with the new AI stuff coming out with Google search, you can now give the capability of like having Google write your ad copy for you, or at least change it to be more desirable to the user. So if the user is searching much more of a longer tail query, then Google can scrape your site and then pull in that information, but that then relies on that information being there. So again, I think this goes back to like making sure that you have covered every angle that you need to for your users, and making sure that information is there for them to find. So it works both ways.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what you just said there was spot on about conversion rate. So even with all this AI stuff taking clicks, when you do get a click from AI, it's like high intent. And these are just stats that we're finding. I think our stats are like 7.14% conversion from referrals from like ChatGPT AI sources, compared to like 1.34% from organic traffic. And that's because the traffic is a smaller amount, but the intention is higher, whereas organic traffic is always going to bring in clicks without that intent, and that's fine as part of it. But yeah, you want to get that click from the high intent audiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm tracking like AI for all clients now, and even e-commerce clients are now getting like much more quality sales coming in as well. Like especially e-commerce, like it's madness how that shift has changed. And I get asked all the time like, oh, what have they searched? What have they searched? I'm like, I don't know if we'll ever know. I don't know. Can you get that information?
Yeah, you can. Well, kind of. You can track prompts, but I mean, they're so long and detailed now and nuanced. I feel like it's a bit. I don't think it's pointless, but I think it's a lot of information that I don't know what you're going to do with, to some degree.
And also, I'm kind of like, if you're already appearing for that said prompt, like the job's good enough anyway. You're trying to get ahead of like prompts that you may not have got ahead of. So I don't know if that information's pointless.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. Just handle with care, I would say. Don't get too.
Is that on tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs and things?
Yeah, SEMrush is really good, I think.
Amazing. So we just want to move on to then, so how search behaviour is actually changing. So we obviously have just sort of dived into this a little bit, but we'll go into this a little bit more now. So naturally people are asking longer natural questions that reflect real problems, and not like short phrases. Like, so for instance, a search term normally on Google would be like marketing tools for SEO or something like that. And now it would be like, I need to find this information. What marketing tools are out there for this? That's correct, right?
Yeah, and maybe even more detailed than that. So like it might be someone looking for a tool that does a particular thing, maybe even has particular prestige in a certain industry. Like it's very, very like niche. Like I think with B2C as well, it's going to be even broader, isn't it? Like, I don't know, like we work for a catering company. So like a wedding catering that offers certain value, even like value searches, like are they sustainable, that kind of thing. And also like, I think the AI tools especially going to get more personalized. They're going to know who you are, like what your values are, and start bringing in companies like recommendations that suits the person that the AI has built up of you, if that makes sense, like the characteristics and your preferences, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So I guess my question to you would be, how do you go about now doing topical authority? Is it different? Are you still kind of doing your keyword research and then mapping it around that? Or, is it different? Like, how do you do a content strategy that builds topical authority?
So for me and us, like it's not that much different, because I do feel like we always handled this quite sensibly. I was always looking for like problem, solution, specific audiences. We've never really done the whole like content for the sake of content ever, because it just never felt good. Like never felt like a good idea to me. So, but then for the industry, I think, yes, it has changed, because I don't think many people were thinking like that. Like I've talked about this before, but I took on a client once, made a content strategy, discovered a bunch of URLs that weren't indexed. And I was like, oh no, they've got loads of content that I've not looked at. And I said to the client, I'm really worried that you've actually got the content that I'm suggesting. And he said, no, that's not going to happen, because you're creating content that actually makes sense for our services. So this content that I found was just like content. It wasn't even related to their services. So that was happening at scale.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the thing is, people need to get really focused on a service, an audience, a problem, and create content around that, like relevancy. And you don't need to cover everything for the sake of it. And I would start kind of targeted. So start with the service page and build around that. So what are the first most important questions around the service? And then like build out. And then just don't go into irrelevancy, basically. Like if you wouldn't share it in your email to your customer, you probably don't need to write it. That's what I think that's quite a good way to think about it. Like if you wouldn't put it to them directly.
It's funny. At the moment, speaking of kind of looking at one area, I think people get like lost in this whole, oh, we've got to do content for like every single service at the moment. Are you suggesting to do like one service and then build content around that? So we've got the client I went to visit in America. What we're doing at the moment is they've got a product that they've basically pushed over to their new website. Now, the page originally was set up for a completely different audience, and that's not where they want to be repositioned. So what we've done is actually got on a call with the sales team, because I said, I want to know what questions people are asking you about the product.
Yeah.
That then forms a basis of going, okay, what content is now missing that we need to now write for this?
And that's a great way to do it. Because that's what they'll search in ChatGPT, isn't it? They'll search their problem.
Yeah, and it was really interesting, actually, just even like picking this guy's brain of being like, okay, if we even just understanding like the audience type that they've got at the moment and how we need to shift it means like even we need to redact things out of the content that no longer makes sense, because we don't want that same audience again. They're not who we want to get in front of anymore. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you've got that content that targets an audience you don't want, and someone searches it, they might find you, and then you just get irrelevant contact forms and stuff come in.
Yeah, but that's been a really interesting kind of shift, actually. They've gone from being this kind of really entrepreneurs right into now the nitty-gritty of B2B and really heavy industrial. So that content shift has been massive for them. But since doing it, the leads that they're getting in now are really relevant, and the MD's like really happy. Like every lead they've got is quality, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly where you want to be, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So next discussion then we'll talk about then is where topical authority shows up today. So when a brand's content is consistently referenced, surfaced or summarized, when explanations feel complete, reliable and written, and where users recognize a name and return to it because it's happened before. So I guess the question being is, where does a topical authority show up? I know we've touched base on this, but if you could give like a breakdown of like how that looks like, Zoe, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so topical authority is going to help with a couple of things in relation to search. Well, three things really. So the first one is obviously like traditional SEO results, like we're still demonstrating those EEAT signals, like expertise, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. That's still important. So nothing's really changed where that's concerned. Like we still want to get those blue links. You still want to get to rank one if you can. Obviously, you also want to get into the AI overviews for the reasons we've discussed. And I actually think it's really interesting what you just said about the pay-per-click side of things. So Google taking information off the website to like really match customer queries. So yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to get this content available. And obviously, like, I don't know, it can show up. I think with search now, it can really show up anywhere. So obviously we've talked about AI overviews, talked about traditional search, but you've got like people also ask, you've got knowledge panels. I mean, featured snippets are still around a little bit, not so much anymore because AI overviews have taken them. But yeah, like all these things can influence these different parts of the web. If you get this information into your schema, like you can show up in like knowledge panels and other search features. So yeah, it's just kind of, it's going to support the marketing like everywhere really, isn't it? And how people understand you and how AI tools pull information from your website.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I've seen shift as well is, I don't know if Google obviously knew that, AI mode was coming out because they shifted their retargeting. Like, so with Google search retargeting, you used to have 2,000 people before you could retarget. So 2,000 people have to land on your website within like 30 days for you to be able to retarget to them.
Yeah.
Which obviously that meant small businesses are just never going to get that volume at all. It's impossible for them. And I think now looking back, I remember this update coming out and like actually it kind of now makes sense. There's less clicks to the website.
I agree.
They reduced it down to 500, which is massive. So now we can make sure we're retargeting. So I think Topical authority, although it may not get a click right at the instance, it gets the higher quality traffic, which makes paid media a little bit easier, especially when you're wanting to retarget to people.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Leigh. I completely agree with that. I think actually the audiences are 100 now. Maybe
Has it dropped again?
I think so. I could be wrong. But I can remember when that change happened and you and I were like, oh, like that's great. Because previously what would happen is I would build audiences for Leigh. And what Leigh was said is absolutely right. Like to get a small business generating all of these clicks, you would need to do these like broader, more top of funnel content and get like at least someone who looks like they are linked to this certain audience. Whereas now you only need 100 people. So you can get really specific, get those 100 people and then retarget to them. So yeah, I think you're right. I think Google absolutely knew clicks were about to basically fall off a cliff. And this was a way of keeping marketing running, like effectively with smaller audiences.
Sorry, Zoe, you are correct. It is 100. Got 500 from.
It might have dropped, maybe. Yeah, it might have done.
Did it go 2,500, 100? But that's really kind of plays a part. I think me and Zoe talk all the time of how SEO and PPC work together, and people who don't view them the same, we see them actually not performing as well, because I think there is definitely an overlap in what topical authority means and how that projects to paid media, as well as obviously the SERPs and AI overviews and things. One of the things I am looking forward to is Google and naturally going to start advertising in AI overviews. They have to, because our paid search results and like are just way below now. They're not even at the top of the page anymore in some instances. I'm interested to see what that looks like. But then I kind of feel that we then just go back to a natural search engine.
I always forget that, because I'm so used to like pay-per-click dominating the top. But yeah, AI overviews and therefore topical authority and content is how you get that very top visibility, isn't it? I always forget that because I'm so used to it being the opposite way.
It is. So that's, for me, is like really important. So if you're thinking, oh, SEO and content, like I don't want to put money into that, I'd rather do it in paid media, I seriously consider the opposite way around, at least while we're in this shift period. We don't have ads currently in AI overviews. I don't know if that ever will be. It's just a theory of mine. But because search results are lower and we're having to rely on display and video and meta to try and get those new audiences in, because we're no longer featuring at the top. So I definitely think you should be investing in content. in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree.
And then just on a business level then, so a lot of people are still chasing what I call vanity metrics, which is like traffic to the website. So Zoe, can you explain to people why the fear of losing traffic is okay, but why traffic alone is the wrong metric?
Yeah, so I've always said if you lose traffic but you don't lose clicks, you've not really lost anything, because ultimately the click is what really matters. And you just got to get used to that as an SEO, really. Like, it's not very nice when your like traffic drops, like impressions drop or something. But if you're not losing clicks with it, then you've not really ever lost anything. So you can either work on the page to get the impressions back if it's important, or you can kind of focus your energies on stuff that matters more, like conversions, page conversions, sales, quality of leads, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the main thing, I think, is focusing on the metrics that really matter. And, you achieve those, like, I think that can be quite hard to achieve, those kind of more important metrics in SEO, because we have come from a environment where we used to create content for the sake of traffic. But it's fairly easy to do it. Like, you just need to go back to the basics of marketing, which is like understanding your audience, finding out what their problem is, giving them the solution, doing it well on a page. It looks nice, it has a good UX, like all that stuff. And like we said just a moment ago, those audiences don't need to be massive anymore. They can be very small, very targeted. Like, you can be the SEO person for lawyers in a particular area, or the SaaS company for certain industries with certain problems. Like, you can get so niche and so relevant now that you will get more qualified leads, which is what we're finding, as we've said, that our leads from AI traffic, because it is so nuanced and we're creating pages that address the nuance, are converting at 7% compared to the 1 point something of organic traffic. And this is good for small business as well. I think this is really exciting for small business. Don't you?
It is. It's massive. Even with all the updates that ChatGPT have just brought out with Shopify. So for those of you who don't know, ChatGPT and Shopify have partnered, which means that e-commerce businesses, as in particular, you can actually buy products directly in ChatGPT. Now, why this is huge for small businesses is that if you have really niche products that you want to sell, this is your opportunity for having a product that can actually get out there, as long as you've got that content and that topical authority on your website. And I think it's the same for non-e-commerce businesses as well. You can now, I think, have a chance of actually competing with the big boys in the field.
I agree with you. Totally agree. I think it's really exciting.
For me, it feels like an easier win for a small business, because you've probably got less services. You're probably really in the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day aspect of everything. So you've probably already got that information really easily accessible to be able to just make content on the website. For me, it feels anyway.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, for sure. I think it's really good thing for small business. So they want to capitalize on it now, though.
Yeah.
Don't waste any time. Get a landing page up, make it targeted, get your messaging aligned.
Yeah. So Zoe, then let's talk about what this means for content and brand strategy. So if you're listening to this and you're wanting to adapt, but you don't want to start from scratch, like, what would you do, Zoe?
So I would focus on an audience with a problem or an industry, something, or kind of like a few of those, or maybe like a value. Like, maybe it's like the value company. So I don't know, with a straight talk and SEO company serving B2B WordPress, like something like that. And we could even get more niche than that with X-size teams and whatever. Focus on whatever kind of niche you want, but like, really go at it. Like, make it really part of your messaging. Like, it wants to be like, there's no point creating a landing page only, creating landing pages, but it wants to be really part of your, like, the core of like who your business is. Get it in the homepage, get it across on all your messaging. That kind of consistency is really important. We've talked about relevance already quite a lot. Obviously, that is absolutely key for AI search especially, but I mean, it's going to help everything to be kind of specific. And then you can get into like how to like structure this content. So I feel like GEO, and I'm using air quotes, generative engine optimization, gets a lot of kind of stick at the minute for these like new, again, air quotes, tactics for helping GEO. But I actually think the criticisms are a little bit harsh. And I think there are things that we can do to improve the GEO side of things and getting that visibility for content that won't necessarily get clicked. So, you know, there's a lot of things like structure. So like making sure your headings and if you've got answering a question, H2 is a question, the body text immediately answers the question, that kind of thing. One thing that I think is actually quite important that gets loads of stick is this kind of concept of writing with semantic triples.
What's that, sorry?
So semantic triples are writing in a structure with subject, object, predicate. And the reason why people don't like it is because you would do it anyway, naturally, in your writing. So like, Zoe Ashbridge is an SEO strategist or something like that would be a semantic triple. Zoe Ashbridge is an SEO specialist. But when you kind of like define things like that exactly, it's helpful for like AI, which can just pull that content and understand what it's referring to. And I think for your ads, when you're saying like it pulls at ad copy, I actually think that would be really important to have it like really definitional and like laid out. So obviously writers are doing it anyway, but like when I'm writing, and I write a lot of content for brands like HubSpot and Search Engine Land every single month, and I am now thinking just, well, can I, rather than being vague, like this is this, or I don't know, it helps, I'm adding the kind of the subject back in every now and again. Like I haven't got to do it every single time, but it just makes more sentences more extractable. And I think that's the goal. Does that make sense?
So could you give me an example then? So if we were talking, I don't know, give me an example.
Okay, so let's say we're writing a service page.
Yeah.
We don't talk to ourselves in third person very often, but let's say we do. We would write like Forank Marketing is a SEM marketing agency for or supporting B2B WordPress. Like rather than saying like we help B2B businesses or we help businesses, like we've defined B2B. It's just about being a bit more like definitional in what you're saying, or rather than just saying like we do this or this tool, like define the tool, like
you're putting, yeah,
I don't know, this tool is good for competitor analysis, say SEMrush is good for competitor analysis. Like you wouldn't write SEMrush every single time in replacement of this tool because it would be too much, but I might add it X% more than I would have done before just to make more sentences more extractable.
That's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. This feels to me like alt text being like pulled out a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's like that a little bit. Yeah, it's just, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it.
If anyone doesn't know alt text, it's where you really describe your images so that they can be found on image searches.
Yeah, exactly.
This woman is wearing a white top, holding a baby, looking into the sun and smiling. But it's like that, isn't it?
Like it's very clear what's happening, and that's what semantic triples are really. So yes, you would be using them anyway if you're a good writer. Yes, it's just a little bit of a pivot, but is it helpful? I would imagine so. So just do it a bit more than you would have done before.
Okay, great. So we've spoke about you getting a service page, looking at your audience and then putting a service page up and actually answering those questions, and then you've got like content that leads off from that. So one of the things that we do tend to find is people who have been online for a long while have probably really irrelevant blog posts and things. So, or not irrelevant, maybe they are relevant, but like, do you find that content in those blog posts could be useful? And like, if they are useful, like how to make them more useful, I guess, for Topical Authority?
Yeah, I guess you still want to align with like keywords. I think I'm still using and mapping keywords personally for like the additional search side of things. A bit of common sense goes a long way. Like, does it still feel useful to your audience? If it does, great, keep it. If it doesn't, you might want to just remove it, to be honest. I mean, I've got a client with masses of irrelevant content on their website. They won't let me remove it, but remove it if it's not serving your customers. Just get rid of it. Like if you created something to get clicks 5 years ago and now it's just sat there, they may be cited by an AI for something that you don't even do, it isn't relevant to a service, I would honestly just get rid of it. What is the point? and then optimize little bits.
Yeah, I was thinking of like one example I find or see a lot is like company news blog posts. Like
Yeah.
I get it's out there for like the company, but I just think like, can you make this bit of company news relevant back to your offering? So one of the things that I did for a client recently was they won an award for a website design, and I was like, this is great, but like, can we make this content just better? Like, so we changed it as like how to build, I don't know, how to design websites that for e-commerce website excellence or something like that. But like then it made more sense for the user of like it actually was gave them information about how to design websites for that industry that are award winning. So it wasn't just a bit of a self-loathing kind of article then, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think the key with stuff like that as well is maybe to even like de-index them over time, because sometimes when you go and look at a website and it's like we were awarded this in like 2021 and it's now 2026, it's just kind of wait. Yeah, like this kind of like self-promotional articles, which is still good, like they've still got a place, haven't they? But yeah, if you can attach it to something, it gives it a bit of SEO value, then yeah, why not?
And a lot of things I still see, and this is more so with, no, I see it with both marketers and clients. It's like this heavy need to do blog posts still. I know working with you, Zoe, like blog posts are literally, I don't think I've ever seen you in this time, like write a blog post or brief a blog post. What's your thoughts on it?
Yes, well, I would probably brief more if my clients would write more. I think that's the challenge. So the priority is always landing pages, service pages for sure. I mean, I would actually love to be doing more blogging with my clients, but I think time is the issue really. Case studies, I think case studies have always been important, but I think they're becoming a bit more important now as people search for like the best for this sort of use case. But I still do think blogging has a role for sure. I think it's really important. It's internal links, it's content. It's just less important than services. Landing pages always has been. I don't think my clients are willing to write as much as they used to be, and this is probably because of what's changed, but they should really keep up at it.
But I think there comes to, I don't think it's not a willingness to write. I think it's marketing has become this, it's huge. I was talking to Ginny Nichols yesterday from Interim Digital, and we just had a bit of a catch up. And she said, you're no longer just like a paid media specialist. Like you've then got like 25 other platforms that you can market on. In those, they all have their own nuances. So like I think just marketing in general has just become so expansive and there's so many different tactics that I just don't think people have true time sometimes.
No, I agree. I totally agree, which is why I don't necessarily want GEO and SEO to expand, because these people are just stuck doing more and more and more and more for the same money in the same role allegedly when it is expanding massively. And yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it is they don't want to write articles. It is more they just do not have the time because they are spinning so many plates.
And unfortunately, I see it a lot more is that people want to push for paid media because that's like the quickest way to get in front of someone. But at the same point, I can't get you results without a decent topical authority and decent content and decent landing pages. So it's like this chicken and egg thing, like what comes first, isn't it? But I mean, we work really closely though. We won't put, or I won't put ads live unless Zoe has done a really good landing page because it makes no sense for us.
No. Everything performs better when it's to the highest quality and it's all in alignment, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Have you got anything else to add then on authority, Zoe, or should we go down into some tips and takeaways?
Yeah, I think we can get into the tips and takeaways of this, because we've actually burned through quite a lot quite quickly.
We did.
We are kind of on fire today. Let's see what we've got. So what we're saying is get super relevant, still cover broader topics, but I would say like move outwards rather than starting with like the what is, how to, like start with the service and then build out. I feel like I say that quite a lot, to be honest. Think about like real world situations, your real audience, their real problems, their industries, like anything you can attach yourself to that kind of gets your kind of values and your USP across. I think that's going to be really important. Obviously, create content for people first, make content easy to navigate, easy to extract. So I talk about the semantic triples. There's also a big thing at the minute about making sure content is in HTML, which I didn't mention. So AI crawlers are not as sophisticated as like Googlebot. So Googlebot can crawl HTML, then render JavaScript. So it can still read content that's in JavaScript, although it doesn't always. Whereas like AI crawlers can't do that. You're just got HTML only. So there's that to think about. Don't think that this kind of like top to middle funnel content is not worth it because you're not getting clicks, because you are still getting visibility. And considering that lots of buyer journeys are starting in AI now, if you don't have that visibility early on, then you won't even make a vendor shortlist for prospects. Mm-hmm. So you're out of the race before they've even got to a website. So you can't ignore it. Anything you'd add for like the pay-per-click side of things?
Yeah, I think, well, the one of this, don't walk away from strategies that still drive meaningful results. So if you think something is working, like just don't knock it on the head because you're seeing less clicks, because if your conversions are still there or they're still growing, then it just means that the people are finding them a different way. And that just leads into then not looking beyond, like look beyond service metrics and look at the ways that you're influencing people and trusting people. If you're finding you get more reviews, you're getting, your conversions up, like look at other areas that you're growing in versus just traffic to the website, because I think that as well has a much larger impact when you're looking at sort of AI as well, because all of these things are going to be crawled, especially if someone is searching for even your business, for example. If they're searching that, all of these information is going to be pulled in.
Yeah, totally agree. I think what you said there, look at like, rather than just looking at clicks and stuff, look at conversion rates. Because if you've got less traffic but higher conversion rates,
you're doing something right.
You might be doing better.
Look at the quality as well. Like so many businesses just don't look at the quality of their leads. And then the marketers are like, I know we definitely, we push for this, Zoe, but like a lot of people don't. They're like, oh, you had 100 leads this month. And then that's it. That's my job done. But it's not, because you need to get into who are they? What are they doing? What are they searching? What are they asking? Where are they coming from? And are they good quality?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. I think we've covered, I've got some questions down here, but I actually think we've covered all of it, to be honest. So we've spoke about smaller brands, how great that is. I think we both agree that topical authority and content still needs to be a priority in 2026.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just needs to be thought about it a bit differently, but absolutely do it, yeah.
And I personally have seen this firsthand in that we have got ahead of the wheel with one of our clients with kind of topical authority, and the fact that because their competitors are not doing it, we've already got that edge. So if you're not already doing it, start ASAP, basically.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we're just going to recap then. So make sure that you're speaking to your audiences, you're drawing clear expertise, not scattered messaging. So if you have the messaging, make sure it's consistent across everywhere. Zoe has already given some great tips on where she would start if she was going back from scratch, and what to do if you're not sure what topical authority means. And you've got to earn that trust of people, and then naturally from this you will be found in AI overviews, ChatGPT, all of this good stuff, as well as the search. So just think of it as just another opportunity to be found, but as only if the content is relevant. Thank you for joining this episode. We are going to be talking about GA4, Google Search Console, Google Ads, and what metrics are actually worth your time. So this would be great for anyone who's looking on how to set up reporting, or even if you are in-house marketer or anyone internally who wants to sort of understand what metrics mean. We'll just get through the fluff, basically. It'll be a really nice episode after this one, Zoe, because we spoke a lot about how we don't really monitor that much traffic, to be honest, or clicks. I certainly don't care for CPC anymore with Google Ads. So we're going to be diving right into this into the next episode. So thank you for listening. Subscribe to our podcast, follow us on LinkedIn, and tell us what's your biggest question or concern about building authority in 2026. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Forank Marketing podcast. We'll be releasing a new episode every month, so don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.